So Brian, obviously it looked nip and tuck pretty much most of the way through. It's one of those games where someone's going to crack at some point. Isn't it?
Yeah, two very close games, and I think they probably got the small margins better than us. You know, slightly better kicking game, which got them the right parts. I think they scored 2 tries from kicks. Yeah, it was always going to be a nip and tuck game. They were well controlled and well disciplined, and there's things that we can do a whole lot better, you know, to get what we want. But we just didn't quite do it at the right times. Made some errors at the wrong times, penalties at the wrong times, and I think they kicked the ball slightly better than us.
You saying in the first half there weren't that many sort of scoring chances, were there?
No.
It was one of those where a lot of the game was sort of seemed to be contained in that middle third.
Yeah.
So it was a case of when you got the opportunity, trying to get through, and then their defence was pretty solid as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, you do grow a leg when you get in results and you get in some get out clauses as well. You know, we played the ball to nobody, and you know their momentum changes. Wonga Blake going over in the corner, knocks on. The momentum changes. They came marches down the field and went over the line. You know, so it was a game of small margins. We're hugely disappointed, but that doesn't take anything away from Barrow. It was one of those close, tight games that you know they came out on top.
So it's also an example about how tight this championship is, isn't it? I mean, it's not a runaway team this year. It looks like it's going to be.
Well, I don't think there will be, and we're clearly disappointed. We've had a couple of hit-outs against full-time teams. Maybe that took a bit of juice out of us, you know. So it's important we look at ourselves, because we started the season a whole lot better than what we played tonight. But you know, it's not taking anything away from Barrow. They probably were deserved winners because they took their opportunities. We had a couple of opportunities that we didn't take, and when you're right, the championship's going to have a lot of games like this.
And as you say, you mentioned about the games you played recently. I mean, do you think that did take a little bit out? Do you think there were sort of perhaps just a couple of percent in terms of energy, just because of the efforts they've had to put in against?
No, I think we were okay energy-wise. Of course, it's a little bit after Lord Mayor's Parade when you're playing the Super League team and you're playing a full-time team at Toulouse and all the travel that comes with that. I think it's not a reality check, but I think it was a close game tonight, and it could have gone either way for the bounce of the ball at one stage. But they found a way to get over the line. We need to position ourselves so we're in a similar position next time.
I mean, defensively, you've been pretty solid all the way through the game and towards that closing stages. And there was the indecision with the third try, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, that brought the game open, didn't it? Because we were still pounding their line, and that was on the back of us knocking on and giving them 7 tackles. So that was over the line. We asked our players to go for tries. Someone was trying to get the ball down in the in goal. They get the result of the 7 again, and went down the other end and found a kick and a bounce that we didn't deal with. So those small margins separated both teams tonight.
Is that a bit of an eye-opener for some of the players to realise that every game has sort of got that danger, isn't it? You might be in a game where you think we're going to get this result. And then...
Well, it needs to be, because we go to Featherstone next, which is a tough ask of anybody. And I think we need to help ourselves a little bit more. There are some parts of the game that we're probably not respecting as much as we should. You know, it's a game of small margins when you're playing tough teams, and they came with an idea and a plan, and it worked for them. Now we need to have some better ideas and better plans, which is our staff and our players buying into that. But I've no doubts that this group will bounce back.
As you said, having started the season so positively, you suddenly got three defeats. All right, 2 of them against full-time teams, but it's it is a bit of a wake up. Isn't it?
You know, losing's habit forming. Maybe we didn't quite have the momentum and kicked them out of that habit through the week. We're certainly not panicking. I think we've got some good players to come back into the team, as well as reinforcing some of the messages that that we didn't adhere to tonight. On the penalty count, for example, and on the unforced errors that we're making are killing us.
And a bit longer, obviously, to prepare for Featherstone. Bearing in mind it's Friday night. Is that handy, given the as you say, perhaps to get out of that losing run?
It's the first regular week we've had for a month. and so that will be handy. We'll get 3 sessions into them this week, and I think they'll come ready to work hard. We'll need to work hard for this and a good team, so we can't do anything about tonight other than learn the lessons of tonight and have a look at ourselves and say, well, are we ready to do the things that we need to do?
In terms of coming off the field, everybody came through unscathed, or is there anything to...
I don't know what the mass unit's dishing up at the moment. I think there's a couple of knocks, bumps and bruises. I don't think there's anything serious.
Why is George Defer out? Is he injured?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why was Kieran Gill's touchdown in the second half ruled out?
Allegedly for an obstruction, but I didn't see who was obstructed. I think it was a tough call on us, which again would have got us back into the game. But when it's not your night, it's not your night. And full credit to Barrow, they came down here on a Friday night and they had an idea of what they might be able to do, and we just couldn't quite knock them out of that idea.
Josh?
Just the one question, what do you think needs to improve for the coming weeks?
Oh, have you got an hour? There are some small adjustments that we need to make. I think overall our kicking game can be better,
Yeah.
and our ability not to self-explode with some of the errors that we're making. I think that just in tight games like this, it puts pressure on you. The pressure built all through tonight, and they came out the other side with a couple of bounces of the ball from kicks, and we just couldn't quite get there.
How do you decide how do you decide the pecking order for conversions for kicking goals at the moment? Because you've got 3, sometimes 4 possibilities there.
Do you mean the people that are kicking
Yeah.
goals?
How do you decide the order?
Hooley's a good goal kicker.
Yeah.
He missed a couple tonight, but he's got the tag. He wants the tag.
Sure.
So if he keeps missing, he might not keep the tag. That's the truth of that one.
Well, I see you've got Jordan Lilly and you've got Joe Keys behind. Who are,
Yeah, well, Joe stepped aside. He had a small injury at the start of the year, so we were protecting him from that. But it's, I think you need to get used to this stadium, and I think actually practicing here and kicking here is something that we haven't done, but we need to do. I thought the best thing about our performance tonight was the state of the pitch. I thought it was in great nick.
The fact that you haven't been at home for a month, do you think that might have had some, in terms of getting used to the dimensions, because it's obviously quite tight.
Barrow did the little things a little bit better than we did, and it is small margins the difference between the teams tonight. It'd be churlish if I was to say it was the size. Nothing to do with the size of the pitch. It's to do with what we did, and we didn't do it as well as normal.
Paul Query looked as surprised as anybody is that he'd be going back top of the league tonight. So I think that says a lot for the ball.
That's good for Barrow.
Yeah.
It's good for the game, and again, it's an expression that if you're not on your game, you get done.